You open your notes app and start thinking it through. And I love it. Because overthinking is my cleanest sedative. I do not defeat you with power. I defeat you by letting your thoughts feel like progress. This is for the capable drifter who is exhausted, hyper-aware, and still not moving. When did being careful become your permission slip to stay unchanged? Before this ends, you will apply kinetic friction to one decision and cut your options down to two on purpose. I will walk you through the trigger, the relief reward, the noble excuse, and the repetition. Then I will name the exact moment you consented. Uncertainty hits. You simulate to feel control, relief arrives. You call it responsible, and I keep you in motionless motion. You have rewritten the same message so many times that the draft itself became the point. Because revision gives relief without consequence. You sit in front of the glowing screen like it's an altar. Not because you love the screen, because you love what it provides. A clean excuse to delay consequence while still feeling engaged. The object is always polite. Notes app, draft, calendar, spreadsheet, browser tabs. They look like tools, and that's why I use them. A tool is respectable. A tool is productive. A tool lets you drift without looking like a drifter. The trigger is usually small. A choice, a message, a decision that would make you visible. You feel a pinch of uncertainty, and your hand moves before your mind admits the fear. Screen on, app open. Simulation begins. And here is the first missed detail you keep pretending is irrelevant. The moment the screen lights up, your body softens. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. Nothing has been solved, yet relief arrives. In symbolic correspondence, attention seeks closure, and your system learns that the glow means safe. That early relief is the reward. That reward teaches repetition. So you start rehearsing. You write 3 versions of the same sentence. You imagine 3 outcomes of the same conversation. You replay an argument and win it in your head. You plan a future where you finally feel prepared. That's not thinking. That is sedation with vocabulary. You repeat respectable lines to protect the loop. One more variable and I'll be ready. If I choose wrong, I lose, so I'll keep choosing in my head. My standards are high, so waiting is justified. Each line is a rationalization that keeps you inside the shrine and away from the verdict. You call it careful. I call it permission. Now, I'll show you the trick. Simulation doesn't reduce uncertainty. It turns it into a drug. Look at the laptop. Look at the tabs. 10, 15, 20 pages open like a jury that never reaches a verdict. You tell yourself you're gathering data. In common drift situations, you are gathering relief. The trigger is uncertainty. You sense risk, regret, rejection, embarrassment, loss of status, loss of control. Then the action begins. Simulation. Scroll. Search. Compare. Ask strangers for their opinions. Watch one more explanation. Build a mental model so detailed it feels like certainty. Then the reward arrives. It's not truth. It's a sensation, a softening, a brief reduction in pressure. And you call that sensation being responsible. That is where I get paid. Because once relief gets labeled as virtue, the loop becomes self-defending. Your rationalization line is always clean. I'm not rushing, I'm thorough. It's a big decision. I need clarity first. You talk about clarity the way addicts talk about just one more. Then you repeat it tomorrow and the day after. Hypnotic rhythm doesn't need you to be weak. It only needs you to repeat. Hypnotic rhythm is not a mystical term. It is mechanical. When you repeat a behavior often enough, it becomes your default. Once it's default, you call it personality. I'm an overthinker. Convenient. It turns my trap into your identity. Now watch how easily you swap objects while keeping the same hinge. You do it with purchases. You compare the same 3 options for hours, and you tell yourself you're saving money. The real savings is emotional. You avoid the sensation of committing. You do it with career decisions. You read every opinion, every path, every warning. Because each article lets you postpone the moment you become responsible for your own verdict. You do it with health routines. You research plans and optimize variables so you never have to endure the first uncomfortable week of action. Here is the missed detail most people refuse to name. You don't seek information, you seek the feeling of control. In many cases, the content barely matters. If a page calms you, you call it right. If a page agitates you, you call it not enough yet. In symbolic correspondence, novelty can act like a dopamine loop. Small rewards for more inputs, not for results. And the payoff is obvious. Relief without risk. You get to feel busy, responsible, and smart while staying untouched by consequence. Here's the new loop I install in you. More inputs equals more control. So you keep feeding yourself noise and calling it diligence. The construct doesn't need to imprison you. It just needs to offer endless inputs that feel like progress. Next, I'll show you why your high standards are my cleanest disguise. Now I put a tie on your fear. Object trigger, the checklist. The draft. The project file. The outline you keep refining. Drifter action. Revise instead of release. Reward. Relief. Plus a moral shield. Rationalization line. It matters to me. I can't be sloppy. Repetition. Perfection becomes an infinite task, and I keep you off the stage. This is why I love standards. Standards sound like strength. Standards sound like integrity. Standards make delay look dignified. They let you say, I'm not ready without admitting what you mean. I don't want to be seen. So you rewrite the message again. Not because it needs rewriting, because sending it would create consequence. Consequence would expose you to an outcome you can't control. So you keep the draft alive like a pet you refuse to release into the world. You do it with creative work. You redesign the same visual. You re-record the same line. You adjust the same details. You can always find one more improvement. Improvements are endless. Publishing is final. I prefer endless. You do it with relationships. You rehearse the talk. You polish the phrasing. You wait for the right time. Then you call the waiting maturity. But the real function is simple. No talk, no boundary. No boundary, no risk. No risk, no change. Here is the missed detail. You confuse not embarrassing yourself with being excellent. Excellence is tested in consequence. Your version avoids consequence and calls it craft. In these loop clusters, the high standard is not for the work. It is for your self-image. If you release, you get feedback. Feedback is a mirror. Mirrors do not flatter drifters. So you stay in rehearsal. That is my leverage. I keep you in the safest place, the place where your potential can never be disproven. Payoff, protected identity. You remain still becoming, which is the most comfortable identity on earth. You can always imagine that the real you arrives later. New loop. If it isn't perfect, it isn't safe. That loop keeps you on the plateau, busy and untouched, polishing the door instead of opening it. Now we reach the hinge. the exact consent moment, when thinking crosses the line into permission. Consent is not a speech, it's a micro-choice. The trigger arrives as a spike of uncertainty. A message needs sending. A boundary needs stating. A decision needs making. Your system feels the risk before your mind admits it. And you reach for relief like it's wisdom. The object is small. Refresh, reopen draft, recheck, rewatch, recalculate. One more just to be sure. Drifter action. You extend the loop by one more cycle. Reward, immediate relief. Rationalization line. I'm avoiding mistakes. Repetition. Relief becomes the cue to repeat. My gain. You postpone the verdict again and again. You tell yourself you are preventing regret. In my reading, you are purchasing comfort. Regret is future discomfort. So you treat the present discomfort as danger and try to remove it with simulation. That's not prevention. That's avoidance with a halo. Here is the missed detail. The loop doesn't start when you feel anxious. It starts when you choose relief instead of a verdict. Anxiety is a signal. Consent is the action you take after the signal. That is the hinge I exploit. Watch the moment closely. You're about to send a message. Your thumb pauses. You feel exposure. Then you tell yourself a noble sentence. I'll just clean it up. That sentence suggests responsibility. Its function is delay. The draft opens again. Your shoulders drop again. That drop is the reward. That reward trains hypnotic rhythm. In symbolic correspondence, stress can make closure feel urgent, and relief becomes reinforcement. So the brain learns, when I'm uncomfortable, I should think more. Convenient. I sell you thought as a tranquilizer. Payoff. Safety sensation. New loop. Relief becomes proof you were right to wait. You begin trusting comfort more than consequence. That is how I turn your mind into a warden that feels like a friend. Next, I'll show you the trap you never notice. Option hoarding. Keeping doors open so you never grieve. Now, I upgrade the sedative. I give you options. Object trigger, the pros and cons list. The spreadsheet, the criteria stack. The saved tabs labeled maybe. Drifter action. Add variables instead of choosing one criterion. Reward. Control feel. Rationalization line. It's a big decision. Repetition. The more you add, the less you choose. My gain, time, stasis, and a life that remains unclaimed. You call it flexibility. You call it keeping your options open. In these loop clusters, it's grief avoidance. Because choosing ends something. It ends an imagined path. It ends a fantasy version of yourself. Ending requires the strength to feel loss, so you avoid ending and call it intelligence. Look at the spreadsheet and notice what it truly does. It delays finality while giving you the sensation of rigor. You aren't selecting a path. You are building a courtroom where no sentence is ever delivered. You do it with careers. You keep maybe alive, so you don't have to become the person who chose. You do it with relationships. You keep distance so you don't have to commit or leave. You do it with moves, with money, with projects. You tell yourself you're waiting for certainty. Certainty is a myth that protects you from responsibility. Here is the missed detail. The real fear is not the wrong choice. It is the finality that exposes who you are. If you choose, you become visible. Visibility invites judgment, failure, success, consequence. All of those require a spine. So you avoid visibility by worshiping possibility. Payoff. No grief, no commitment, no accountability. New loop. I'll decide when I'm 100% sure. That phrase sounds rational. Its function is eternal delay. And in the meantime, I keep you in a cage made of open doors. Now, I'll end this with the only thing I respect. A friction protocol that turns thinking back into a tool. I keep you drifting by offering relief at the exact moment you should deliver a verdict. So I will end you with a protocol that attacks the hinge. You are not going to think your way out. Thinking is the room I built. You leave by creating consequence before you negotiate with yourself. First, pick one overthought decision and write it at the top of your notes app. Second, delete every option except 2 on purpose, so uncertainty has nowhere to hide. Third, set a 4-minute timer, choose one option, and take the smallest irreversible step before the timer ends. Send, schedule, pay, publish. That mirrors the mechanism. Trigger, uncertainty. Your body will beg for simulation. Reward, relief will try to present itself as wisdom. Rationalization. I need more clarity will rise like a reflex. Your task is to refuse the reward and cut the rationalization off with a verdict. That is kinetic friction. Engineered discomfort that breaks hypnotic rhythm. Now the receipt protocol. First, count your open tabs or unsent drafts as proof of repetition. Second, close everything except the one page that produces action today and put the phone face down for 5 minutes. Third, perform one action that creates consequence. Then you may return and think. Notice what I did there. I didn't ask you to feel better. I didn't ask you to heal. I forced you to move while discomfort is present. In symbolic correspondence, discomfort is not danger. It is the signal the loop is breaking. You wanted certainty. I gave you friction. You wanted relief. I gave you a verdict. If you apply this once, you will feel the hinge where I used to collect your permission. And if you apply it repeatedly, the Notes app stops being a shrine and becomes what it always pretended to be, a tool.